Live from Kakariko Village. Broadcast throughout the Retroverse, transmitted to the real world via a maze of wires connecting a Super Nintendo to a Wii, to a Wi-Fi network, and finally to the internet. The Techno Funk Boy presents the Retro Zoo Super Show. Now here are your hosts, Kai and Steven.
Okay, thank you for joining us. This is the Retro Zoo Super Show. We actually have a fantastic show for you today, but Drum? Where's Steven?
I do not know.
Well, he said he was going to be here, right?
That is affirmative.
Okay, oh, wait, hold on, the phone's ringing. Maybe that's him. Hey, this is Kai. You are on the air on the Retro Zoo Super Show.
Hey, Kai. And Drum, this is Steven.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, we're on the air. So, what's going on?
Dude, guys, I'm stuck in traffic in Kakariko Village.
What traffic? There's like 5 people who live here.
No, there's a parade or something. I can't see. It's like bumper to bumper. It's insane.
I don't think there are any cars.
Get out of the way! Oh man! Oh my goodness! I don't even know what's. I don't even know what's going on here.
Oh my goodness!
Hold on. I think it's moving. Oh no, never mind.
All right. Well, I mean, obviously this is a live show, and we do need to get on the air, and so I'm your host Kai. Steven, we're gonna do this on the phone then.
But it's not the same when I'm not there.
Well, this is not something that we can just like put on hold.
Okay, you know what? For this time, I'm gonna let it. I'm gonna go with it.
Okay.
So let's do the show. Let's do it.
Yeah. So
for posterity.
So for those of you who are joining us for the first time, I am Kai. I'm not here with my co-host Steven. I'm with Steven on the phone.
My disembodied voice, yeah.
Disembodied voice, which is, we're on the radio, so it's all of our disembodied voices, so I guess that's fine. We are produced, as always, by Drum. Drum, how are you doing today?
I am functioning normally.
I knew he was going to say that.
Good, yes, that's good. We have not heard from Murd in a little while, and I'm happy about that, because we have way too much to do today.
No, I chained him up. He's good for now.
Goodness.
Yeah.
That's not gonna. You know what? All right, we got too much to do, and Steven, we're gonna have to kind of go off the cuff here because you were not here for show prep. But for those, for those of you who are joining us, this is a retro gaming podcast run by a group of people who live inside of a Super Nintendo that is connected to a Wii, that is then connected to the internet and allows us to broadcast like this and get out to the masses so that everybody can hear us and actually communicate with the real world, which is something that we are doing today. So, this is pretty cool. So, Stephen, while you were on hiatus over Christmas, you probably remember that I had a couple of episodes about a very, very early, if not the first MMORPG, a game by Sierra called The Realm Online. Did you listen to said episodes?
I started listening to one of the episodes, and it was like the one where you were talking with your friend, and we had
a great interview with Sandy Claus, and that actually was a fantastic episode. That was really good.
It was, but it was so intense that I felt like I needed to be playing the game to understand more, and so I paused it. So it's still paused in that same spot. So I'm waiting to go download The Realm Online and start playing and read some more Wikipedia articles so I can kind of catch up with where y'all were, because it was pretty intense. I mean, it was awesome.
Yeah, it was a really great episode. And if anybody missed it, we will have the links to those 2 episodes. We did 2 episodes on The Realm with the promise of a third one, which is now. But we will.
This is the third one.
This is going to be the third one.
I haven't had time to download
the link
it.
to the episodes.
Okay, maybe I should go download it and start playing it. But I'm not home yet. I'm not even at the studio. I'm stuck in traffic.
Okay, we'll do that later. So, like a little bit of recap. So, the Realm came out in '96, and it had been in testing for about a year before that, and it was started by Sierra, which was just the biggest name in PC gaming at the time. And oh my goodness, I didn't believe you. I don't know if y'all can hear this, but there are like 5 gazillion sirens going off in the background. I really thought you were lying about the traffic, but apparently something's going down.
Okay, so maybe it wasn't a parade. Maybe it's like a fatal accident. Wait, hold on.
No, don't go look.
Wait, I'm gonna get out. I'm gonna get out of my car. I'm gonna go walk.
Wait, we've got to do this show.
Okay, well, let's do the show real quick, and then I'm gonna get out and go see if I can do some research about accidents in video game world.
Okay, that would be fine.
I think somebody might have run over a Koopa.
Oh, So what happened there? What happened thereafter? And for those of you who do listen regularly, and we really appreciate you being here each and every week and telling your friends about the show. Thank you so much. But what happened was I had planned, because I found out in the course of this interview with Sandy Claus, is that the Realm still existed on private servers, even though the official server had been taken down. And so I had planned to spend a little time playing, and then come back and kind of do an episode kind of capping all that out, where I would talk about playing the game. But some stuff happened that completely changed my plan and postponed that part 3 episode for many weeks. And what happened was I got an email from Norseman Games, who owns The Realm currently.
Is this a person?
Well, it's the company. I mean, I got an email from Amanda McGann, who is with Norseman Games, and she is the daughter of Lee Walholtz, who is the owner of Norseman Games. And she had heard the episode in which I'm sitting here on this episode going, and it was much smoother than this, right? But I was basically saying, this game is dead. This is a dead game. It exists like on a private server somewhere, but it's dead because it's dead, and I'm saying this because, and this is the weird thing about, doing like an episode like on an online game is, if I'm like doing an episode on Mario Brothers, we have Mario Brothers. It is what it is.
Right.
But online games, change and evolve and they grow. And so I was taking the information I had, but I had not been in the game for 20 years.
Right.
Took the information I had. I went over to realmserver.com. The website was still up, but there was no way to download the game. You know, I was talking a little bit of Santa Claus, and I came to the conclusion that it lasted a very long time, but it in any official capacity was a dead game. And it's not. And
it's on the dark web, right?
No, it's not on the dark web. Well, it might be. I don't know, but so Amanda and I started talking, and she wanted me to hold off on my third episode, which was fine. I was having trouble. I was having trouble installing the Realm. I didn't try very hard. I got really busy, and so I had to kind of put it aside.
Yeah. And you just didn't know how to work a computer.
Well, that too. But it's like and so I was going to put it on hold anyways because we were starting some other stuff at the time, and so I was like, oh, sure. She's like, we're about to make some announcements. This is going to be really cool. We want you to hold off, and then we'll chat then. And just rest assured, the Realm is not dead. The Realm is coming back. And I was like, oh wow, this is really cool. I just bumbled myself into a cool little story here. And I immediately started thinking about all the episodes I did, and I was like, I communicated the fact how much I love this game, right? Like I wasn't like cynical, was I? And just going through it in my head, and I was like, no. I did express how much I just adored this game back in the day, and it really was a fantastic game. And so I was really getting excited, and so we were chatting back and forth a little bit, and then she said, okay, we're planning on making this announcement on April 1st. And so,
that's April Fool's Day.
Well, that's what I said.
How can you make an announcement on April Fool's Day?
and so like I wrote back, and I'm like, okay, that's great. That's on a Sunday. Our episodes are normally on Friday. That'll give us a chance to chat or whatever we want to do at that time, and to revamp for map. And then I put in the email, it's like, but April Fool's Day is probably not the best day to make an announcement about a video game. I don't know if y'all want to rethink that. And then I hit send, and I kind of chuckled to myself, and she didn't write back. And I'm like,
oh, you offended her.
Well, no, I'm sitting there thinking, like, was this a giant April Fool's joke? Because I am out of the loop. I haven't been on the Realm in 20 years. I have no idea who the personalities are who have been involved in this. I have no idea what's been going on or anything.
You probably got trolled. You're probably not even a girl.
And I'm like, gosh. Well, it's like, I'm like, in all seriousness, like, this could be like an enormously great prank on me. On bumbling me, who did this episode on a game that I love, but I clearly don't know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about memories from 20 years ago when the game has been ongoing for this amount of time, and has grown and evolved and had different personalities come in and out of it. And this could be a great prank on me. And so this is what I immediately start worrying about. But I started looking into it, and the announcement has been made, and we're going to get into that here very quickly. And this is going to be a fantastic episode because Amanda herself was not able to join us today, but I was able to go back and forth with her a little bit on email to get some. To get the answers to questions I had, and then we're going to be talking to somebody else involved in the development of the game, and so we're gonna get into that. But as I'm looking more and more into it, it's like, wow, first of all, this is real, this is happening, and secondly, I'm finding a community of people who.
A realm of people,
absolutely. These people who absolutely adore this game more so than I ever did, and who are absolutely committed and passionate about it. And that's
so. How many people are on these private servers? Like estimated.
Oh, I have no
like,
idea. I mean, at any, I mean, look, it's not World of Warcraft.
No.
Okay.
No. But I mean, are we talking about like a couple hundred people? Or are we talking about a few thousand people? Or are we talking about 10 people?
Oh, no.
You know?
It's more than 10 people. Like every time I've pulled it up, there have been at least 30 active players at that moment. And so it's probably not thousands at this point, but I mean, but here's the thing. It's like the official relaunch hasn't even happened yet. And the plans they have for this game are actually far more extensive than just this. And so, we're going to get more into that stuff. But just to kind of finish this out, it's like there's a very large group of people out there who are very passionate about this game and have been passionate about this game for 20 years. And to those of you who are listening, you know, I'm working very, very hard to catch up. And I'm working very, very hard to, you know, kind of fill in the gaps for myself on what's been going on since I've been gone. But my primary purpose here is to introduce people, Stephen, like you, like the people we know who listen to the broadcast who have not played this game but might be interested in it.
Yes.
And so, you know, and I've looked enough into what's been going on to know that there's been a lot that has happened. And just because I'm glossing over that doesn't mean that, you know, I don't think all this stuff is important. You know, there have been just almost feuds along the way. There have been, you know, friendships developed along the way. There have been, people coming on board and just really loving this game. And there has been disagreements about, you know, features of the game, and all of that has been going on for 20 years. And I'm not glossing over it to say that it's unimportant, because it is important. I'm glossing over it because I don't fully understand it yet. And I'm working on that. I'm working to kind of catch up to where we were. But at the same time, I'm also trying to, you know, not give a 20-year history of this game, but to give an introduction to people who might be interested. And so, to do that, what we have is, you know, just kind of the brief over, and we're going to be going over this in our interviews, is, the game used to, or I guess at this point still exists on a couple of private servers, and only very recently the official server went off. And we're going to get into the reasons for that here soon. But in the revival, that the official server is back on, and on June 1st, one of the private servers is going to basically be taking over production of the game and updating the game. They have you know, been granted a license to kind of run the game. And so, you know, they are going to be, you know, taking over the day-to-day operations and the updates. And there's a lot planned, and both parties, first Norseman Games, who we're going to deal with first, because like I said, Amanda couldn't join us, but she sent me a lot of information that I do want to go over with you. And I was going to summarize it, but her answers turned out to be just really so good that I'm going to just read them to you.
Well, do you want me to read them, and I can read them like a woman?
I don't think that's going to convey the passion that we want.
Dude, I could be a very passionate sounding woman. Here's a sample. And I just want you to know, the next phase of this game is going to rock your socks off.
You know, as good as that is, I think that we're not going to want to exactly have that tone. And so I appreciate it. Stephen, that was good.
Was it too baritone?
Yes, that's, but after that, Oh goodness, what was I talking about? But in immediately after that, we are going to be talking with Sam Blackman, who is a developer for Rat Labs. Who is the company that's taking over this game. So Rat Labs is formerly Mistwalkers, who ran the Mistwalkers server for, the private server for the Realm. And so, I gotta tell you that, I'm so excited about this. I got on the Realm, for the first time in 20 years. And, it's very different. It has evolved. It has grown a lot, but it felt like home. And I'm so excited. And so I've gotten my character started on the legacy server. I snagged my old name from 20 years ago, which is Tangel, Tangel. If you're online and I'm on, please say hello. And on our Twitch channel, hopefully this weekend, if I can find the time, but on our Twitch channel, I'm going to start streaming, play of this game. So for those of you who are not familiar with the game, join me on Twitch, twitch.tv/technofunkboy. Please do follow us there, and we'll, I'll show you around at least the beginning stages of the Realm, because I just, I just started this character again, and so I'm pretty low levels, but we'll be able to explore it together. And I also, in addition to all of that, I found, and I mentioned this in a previous episode, but I found my old website for the Realm that I and my roommate made in 1996.
Whoa.
And I have reposted that. I have re-uploaded it. And so, there's a bunch of broken links and stuff, of course, because those, stuff I was referencing doesn't exist anymore. But, the link to that is going to be in our show notes page. And our show notes are at technofunkboy.com/31. That's the number 31 for episode 31. So, with all that being said, maybe you can help me with this, are you in a place where you can even read?
Well, traffic isn't moving, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Steven, can you hear me?
I was.
Hello?
Tomorrow. Wonder Dog.
Hello?
Hello?
Oh, shoot, we lost him. So to our conversation with Amanda, just really, really quickly, what's happening is that the Mistwalker server, which is a private server that was running the game, is now going to be licensing the game from Norseman Games, who owns it, and developing the game and running the now official server. So on June 1st, the Mistwalker server is coming down. Already there's a legacy server up, an official legacy server up, and that's a paid server, but there's going to be on June 1st another server that goes up that's going to be a free to play server. And both of those are official servers. And so this was, and development's going to continue under Rat Lab, which is now the title for what was Mistwalkers. So, my first question to Amanda was, how they came about the Realm in the first place, because when I left 20 years ago, it was still in the hands of Sierra, and it did pass the hands a couple of times, in between. So, like I mentioned, I was going to kind of summarize what she said, but a lot of these answers were just so great that I'm going to read to you what she said. This answer is fairly simple and yet also complicated. My uncle, better known as Hijinks, was absolutely in love with the Realm Online. So when the opportunity to purchase presented itself, he proposed to the family that we ought to do it. At first there was some hesitation amongst the siblings. I vividly recall the family meeting taking place where they were discussing the pros and cons and what ifs and everything in between. I was young at this point, but old enough to know that I wanted my family to buy the Realm Online. So I made signs that said, $, $Realm, $, let's do it, all caps. And I ran around the family table yelling, buy the Realm, buy the Realm. Now, I'm certain that my signs and lack of indoor voice was not what persuaded my family to make the purchase. Ultimately, it came down to was a genuine love for the game. When Norseman Games made the purchase, we were just a family who had a passion, much like other players. We had so many visions and plans for the game, most of which Rat Labs will be able to implement where we were not. Unfortunately, after a flood at one office and a robbery at another, Norseman took quite a hit, followed by family members' illnesses. It was just the perfect storm, and development stopped. To which I was asking her, it's like, okay, so when I kind of entered the picture, the official servers were turned off, and I was asking her, he said, was there always a plan to bring it back? Her response was, the servers were never officially turned off. We faced some issues, and we're also in the midst of this licensing agreement, so the game and website were down for longer than expected. However, it's important to know that we never did flip the switch. So long as Norseman Games owns the realms, it shall stay alive to the best of our ability. With Rat Labs in the picture, I don't foresee any issues with that. So the next thing I really wanted to know was how in the world does like the owner of a game and a private server of that game who's running without permission, come together for this? This is actually a very, Amanda's response is, this is actually a very touching story. We were not actively looking to sell or to license at any point, but we were always trying to find a way that we could revive the realm online with the resources available to us. After my uncle Hijinks passed away, I was completely broken. He was my best friend. I wrote a GoFundMe to try to help with the costs surrounding his unexpected passing. Though he was terminal, he was stable, and in that GoFundMe, I was brutally honest about my family's current state. The GoFundMe touched what was previously the Mistwalkers team. They reached out to me and requested to share the GoFundMe on their server for the players to donate. I was genuinely touched. While of course it was frustrating that they had a private server, the gesture was beyond the game. My family was at a low point and they reached their hand out. Once they posted the GoFundMe, we raised $2,576, and this money helped my family pay for and adjust to the transition following the loss of Hijinks. It was through these interactions that we, A, built a genuine friendship, and B, began talking about the game and how to honor Hijinks. After months of conference calls, negotiating, and laughs, we came to an agreement that was suitable for both parties and most importantly would benefit the realm online. The Rat Labs team were initially so kind, being that we were complete strangers. Unlike a lot of people, they put the game aside and gave a hand to people in need. So no, we were not actively looking for an awesome group of people with time, talent, and resources to do what we always wanted to do. It just happened. Through teamwork, lots of conference calls, and common goals, we landed there. My last question was what we're hoping for the future, and her response is, my ultimate desire is to jump in game and see people enjoying the community the way they used to so many years ago. Something about the realm online is truly special, and in memory of Hijinks, I want to see the game flourish in the way he once envisioned. So the last thing that Amanda put in her email to me that she requested that I pass on was this. Thank you for taking the time to speak with Sam from Rat Labs and myself regarding the change to the realm online. I grew up supporting the game and helping Hijinks develop certain things, and now I am representing Norseman Games to ensure that my family, those who have passed and those who live, will get to see it become what they always pictured it being. I have had so much enjoyment working with Sam, Matt, and Jordan on the Rat Labs team, and I have so much faith in their abilities that I actually get teary-eyed thinking about the possibilities and what could become of a game so near and dear to our hearts. There will always be people who don't agree with what has been done and those who repeatedly send nastygrams, but in the end, as long as the Realm Online, a game from 1996, is still playable, we've done something right. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to jump into an interview that I pre-recorded with Sam Blackman from Rat Lab, about, how this came about and the future of the realm. This interview is absolutely fantastic. You definitely want to hold on for this. So what we'll do first is take our break and then we'll jump right into that. So hang on for just about a minute and we will be right back. Hey Drum, did you know that the Techno Funk Boy isn't just a group of podcast hosts that live inside a Super Nintendo?
Really?
That's right, we're also a band.
Tell me more.
We're a retro gaming inspired band that plays covers of classic video game themes, original game music, and other music in the style of classic games.
That sounds great.
Yeah, and you can find our first full-length album on iTunes, Amazon, and CD Baby. It's called The Final Fantasy Mixes, and it's an EDM tribute to some of Uematsu's best musical themes. Check the episode notes for links or go to Techno Funk Boy to learn more.
Techno Funk Boy sounds like the greatest band that has ever existed.
I programmed him to say that.
We're back.
Okay, so right now we have on the air Sam Blackman. Sam, thank you so much for joining us. This is actually a really great treat for me.
Oh, thank you.
So you are, all right. So you're with Rat Lab. What is your title there?
Well, we really don't have specific titles. I guess
Sure.
if you wanted to give me a title, I would be a managing member of the LLC because Rat Labs is an LLC.
Gotcha. Oh, if we're making up titles, let's do something interesting.
I think I called myself principal developer.
Nice.
There you go. There's a good
that's
one.
great. Yeah, I like that. Oh, so fantastic. Okay, so to give you a little bit of background, we a good chunk of my audience doesn't have the foggiest clue what the Realm Online is, except that we've done some episodes on it, and what happened in those episodes that I was giving the game a premature postmortem, and so we're probably going to have to go a little bit further back in the history than just what's been happening, like in the last couple of weeks in the announcements. But let me make sure I understand this right.
Okay.
Rat Lab is formerly Mistwalkers. Is that right?
That is correct. Yes,
Okay.
that's correct.
So for a while now, y'all have been running a private server with the Realm. Is that do I understand
Yes.
that right?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's correct.
Okay. How did y'all get involved in that?
So my involvement began when so there was a group of developers that were working on a private server called Sacred Temple, and then they I guess had a falling out internally amongst the group, and a couple of the guys they were not programmers, but they went over and they started this Mistwalker server, and they brought a programmer over with them. And actually, interestingly enough, one of the guys that organized Mistwalkers had contacted me because he recognized my name, but he thought that I was the artist that had drawn Minotaurs for the Realm Online.
Oh, wow.
And I told him, I'm like, no, I didn't. I'm not an artist, but I am a programmer.
Oh.
And I had seen, the source code, and I was familiar with it. And so he was like, well, would you want to help us out? It was kind of like the right time. It felt good. So I joined the team, and, I had been working on some custom functions for the server code. And so those things got introduced into the game. There was a lot of positive feedback with it. And then eventually the other guy that they had brought over to program with them had left. And so, I stayed on, and I've been programming on Mistwalkers ever since.
And that's cool. But yeah, I mean, even prior to that, you've been a long time user and fan of the Realm.
Oh, yes. So, I played an alpha, but I was much too young to really remember much about it. But 2.x was a good part of my adolescence, so I remember a lot of 2.x. That's my favorite era of the Realm. And then I've obviously played 3.x since it released.
Okay, and just for my edification, when abouts did 3.x go into effect?
That's a terrible memory on my part. I'm going to say 3.x had to have been in like 98 because 2.x, that was, you didn't have mana crystals, you had health and you had mana. The level cap was 100. And then I remember when 3.x first released, they wiped us all back to level 1. We got to remake the way our characters looked, but we had all of our names. And I don't believe that there was a level cap when 3.x first released, because I remember some people having just a tremendous amount of health. And I think at some point they capped it at maybe level 500 and then level 1000, which is where it has been ever since.
Right. Yeah. So okay. So that was actually a ton of time after I stopped. But yeah, I don't think I ever even saw the 3.x version because yeah, Mana Crystals is brand new to me as I'm looking into the game now.
Yeah, I miss the old system. I mean, it was simple, but
Yeah.
your stats really mattered for combat then, right? Because I think you mentioned that you played a wizard and you wanted to make sure that you had, a good amount of mana and, you didn't have much health. I can still remember my wizard. He had 57 health and 106 mana. How terrible is that?
I wish I remembered in that much detail. I actually might have a picture of I know I have a picture of my portrait from back in the day, but I don't know that I have a picture of my stats.
You should use that as the cover art for this interview.
Oh goodness, yeah. I know I know you said you listened to part of the episode, at least part of the episode with Santa Claus, so you might not know this, but I have one version, my least favorite version of my Realm website from 96, 97. And it was when my roommate completely revamped it to be more high-tech for the time, and high-tech for 1996, 97 was more animated GIFs, right? And so he revamped it, and all the colors clashed, and it was all neon and stuff, and it looks horrible. But I had designed a website before that I liked a lot more, and I don't have it, and I can't find it, on any of the Wayback Machines or anything, but I do have quite a few screenshots that were just embedded in that website that I've been able to pick through and pull from, and I know my portrait's in there.
That's fantastic.
I'll definitely dig to see what else I have. I do have my maps that I did of the world at the time, and they're even each square was hyperlinked, and I spent a long time programming that by hand in Notepad, so that would work. But it was fantastic for the time.
No, those were the days. GeoCities and Angelfire.
Oh yeah.
As we were talking before the call started, I've been playing the Realm for, I don't know, since 96. So it's a game that's near to my heart.
Yeah. So we probably ran across each other at some point back in 96 when, I was a punk teenager who was probably a lot meaner to people on there than I should have been.
Oh, I was probably the same way.
Oh goodness. So yeah, I mean, so this really was a project of just fans that wanted to keep this thing alive, that loved it and wanted to keep going.
Sure.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, honestly, we all thought that the Realm would never be back in a commercial capacity, right?
Sure.
To be 100% transparent, I didn't even know that the official server was still running when I got involved. I thought, it's gone. I didn't even try to go to the website.
Yeah.
I guess that's how far away from it I had gotten.
Right. Yeah. Well, yeah, and I hadn't tried any of that out until just a couple of months ago when I decided, hey, this is I talk about old games. Let's talk about this old game because I loved it and I had a lot to say about it. And that was the first time I hit realmserver.com in literally decades.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, one of the things that we saw when we had gotten into discussions with Norseman about helping with the title was the website, needed some updating. I don't know if you've looked at it lately, but
yes,
we have a new website up now.
Yeah.
So we're awfully proud of it.
Yeah. And, one of the things that I'm picking up that I'm really impressed with is it seems like y'all haven't just been like maintaining a space for the game, but you've actually worked on it.
Yes. So basically what we did was There's kind of two schools of thought with the Realm Online. There's what exists now in what we're calling the legacy server. There's this magic resistance and mysticism immunity paradigm where it's very good for PvE, but from a PvP standpoint, it's a problem. So what we've done is we've actually recoded the game logic to put like what they called the shrugging system back into the game, to where it adds some RNG to combat, so that if you cast a crowd control effect on a target, they may be able to shrug that effect off and then still attack. So as with the legacy version, it's a guaranteed. You know what's going to happen. The outcome's 100% predictable.
Yeah, that's really neat. So I spent a little time a few days ago, and we talked about this earlier. I spent a very little time, on the Mistwalker server, and I got to tell you, it's like it was like coming back to a very familiar and warm place for me. But at the same time, it's like, right away can see this place has grown. And not in a bad way at all, in a very cool way. And so, over the years, it's really neat that the realm has been able to maintain that certain charm to it, while it has grown over the years. I think that's really neat.
Yeah, I think for some people, myself included, that the art style of the realm is, it's very much like King's Quest. It's a Sierra product from way back. Sierra was very popular with, I can't remember all the titles, but King's Quest is the one that comes to mind the most. And it's a niche art style, and people like myself love it.
Yeah, well, and it's also one that can run on 56K modems, because we almost none of us had DSL connections back in '96, and that was kind of the whole point, is that we could run these things, a massive online game on a dial-up.
Sure,
and,
absolutely.
But at the same time, even though it's very cartoony, that even though it's designed to be very streamlined, it does have a very unique a very unique and distinct style that there's no mistaking it. I loved it too.
Yeah, it's much, adventure games. I noticed, Steam's a popular distributor. And so adventure games on Steam, a lot of the artistic style is very similar to King's Quest and this title, where, a player comes into a room and they can walk around that room. They can interact with objects in that room. They can, kind of explore. So the mechanics are very similar to that.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And Sierra in the early to mid 90s was just the king of adventure games, and made that, really grew up that genre. And so there's a lot of that element there, but, not to get too caught up in the 90s, but, kind of moving forward to today, y'all and Norseman Games have united forces, so to speak, and going to bring the realm back to an official, I was going to say paid server, but there's actually a lot of options. We'll kind of get into that, because that's kind of exciting element, but a commercial release again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we actually just reopened the legacy server on Sunday, April the 1st. Mm-hmm. We have two different types of accounts. We have just a normal citizen account, which is a free to play account. It does not have access to the legacy server, but moving into the future, it'll have access to a new fresh server they're going to come out as a citizen. And then the Noble Citizen account, which is a paid account. So it's a very, modest fee. It's $4.99 a month or $49.99 a year. Right. When you look at the grand scheme of things, it's a pretty low cost for a lot of entertainment.
Yeah, and take it for somebody who, when I was a freshman in college, spent way too much time on the realm. It's a game just based on community that can provide just hours upon hours of entertainment. And so I personally think that the price is extremely reasonable. And so, but on top of that, you do have, we're going to have that citizen level that once the new server goes up, is going to be able to do a whole lot of the game. I mean, including, the existing content, let's see, up to level 1000. So this is not one of the old free, 1 day free trial type of an account.
Sure. What we wanted people to be able to do is, one thing, we understand that some people they cannot afford to play, their leisure money's not as much as others. So we wanted to be sure that players that could not afford to pay for it had a lot of the same opportunities that a paying player does. And as you stated, they're going to get access to the server. They're going to be able to level up to 1000. They're going to get their 4 character slots just like a noble citizen does. They're going to have access to all of the normal dungeons. They're going to get bonus XP for grouping with friends. So, these are very key items to what we consider for, I don't want to call it an MMO, but let's call it a multiplayer online game, because it's not massive, and we would love it to be, but it's not currently. But noble citizens, some of the things that they get that the free people don't. We have these things called hot zones, and different zones each day of the week get double experience points, and that's what the noble citizens will get. We have a harder version of the dungeons that we call heroic dungeons, so noble citizens will have access to that. And then we also have a prestige system. So for those of your listeners that are familiar with games like, Call of Duty, where you can hit the maximum level and then, start over at level 1, and then maybe it changes your badge, then you can rank up again. We have that system as well.
Oh, great. Yeah, I got up to level 5, so I'm not quite there. Oh, goodness, that's great. All right, so timeline going forward. So, as I understand it, June 1, the Mistwalker server is going down.
That is correct.
And is that the same date that the new server is going up?
Yes.
Okay.
So June 1st will be the launch date for what we're calling Finvara's Fortress. So that's the name of the new server that will be coming online.
Okay.
You will still use the legacy client to access this new server, as we have not got a firm timeline together for the new client that is currently being developed.
Got it. Okay. All right. Is there going to be gameplay differences between the legacy server and the new one?
Sure. So the new server is going to have many of the same rule sets that we developed on Mistwalkers. So, like these hot zones are not in the legacy server. The heroic dungeons are not on the legacy server. I developed weapon procs, kind of like on, WoW, where, you could have an axe that would proc lightning. So,
great.
So that's going to be in the new server. Again, the shrug system. So you'll be shrugging spells instead of just having this mist immunity for so many rounds. We took some of the predictable aspects of the game out, and spells will be able to perform critical strikes. So depending on the caster's stats, they may be able to get critical strikes when they cast a spell. So that's that's also it adds kind of. So like with a hitter on the realm, when you're playing a melee character and you get critical strikes, you get the bonus damage, and you kind of it's satisfying. Well, Wizards did not have that. So with this new version, we added that element in there, and we've had a lot of positive feedback with it from the Mistwalker server.
Yeah, that's really neat. I mean, you may or may not know, but I way back in the day, I played, strictly wizard characters, and, a critical strike is always just like this burst of energy in the battle that is so much fun. And so adding that to spells, that's going to be a lot of fun, and that increases the likelihood that I'll play a wizard again. So that's great.
Yeah, and another piece to that is, what we did was for armor, we gave the ability for, so there was, it was called MR, mysticism resistance, in the old one. So now we have spell resistance. So for each circle of spell, you can have so much resistance to it. So let's say that I won't use the specific name for the schools, but let's say that you are a good caster and you have the heal spell. Well, if you're wearing a lot of good spell resistance, then your heal spells are not going to do as much healing power on yourself.
Oh, wow.
So
that's really neat.
So that adds a dynamic. It starts building you start choosing your armor to the type of role that you want to play. So if you want to be a good healer, you might not wear that type of armor.
Right. And at the same time, that cuts down on, your possible resistance to your enemy's magic, I'm assuming.
Yes, you're right.
So that's really cool. So, there's just increasing levels of customization on how you want to play.
Mm-hmm. And another thing that we're looking at, and I haven't talked to the community about this yet, but maybe they'll listen to your podcast and they'll hear it here first.
Well, I unless somebody shuts me up, I'm planning to announce it in the Discord. So.
Well, sure, absolutely, that's great. What you have right now is you have elves, you have humans, you have giants, and you have orcs. Those are the 4 playable races.
Okay.
Each have a specific starting stats that they can get for a wizard, adventurer, thief, and warrior. Well, what we're looking at doing is we've calculated the lowest stats available for each warrior, right? So if we took all the races and we just took the lowest stat that you could choose out of all those. So if an elf started off with 4 strength and then a giant started off with 13th strength, well, then we said, okay, we'll start that at 4, but we'll give them more points to allocate to their character. So what we're trying to do is open up the window for character customization. Right now, it's very prescribed. So when you create a character, you have 8 points that you can kind of move between your strength, your dex, your intelligence, and your endurance. And that becomes your character. What we're looking at doing is, I can't remember the numbers exactly, but I think it was something like 23 points that you'd be able to spread out across your character.
Oh, wow.
So if it's what we're trying to do is break the meta. Typically what people do, if a new person comes on the game, they say, what character would I make? The first thing somebody's going to say is, oh, make an all-strength giant warrior. That's the easiest. It's the cheapest.
Yep.
Or they'll say, make an all-intel elf wizard because they can enchant your gear for you. And ever since we started this project, I've been trying to break that mold. I've done things about changing damage modifiers on weapons to be stat-based for intelligence for short swords, and then dex-based for daggers. And as with before, it was all strength-based, right? Right. So we're trying to come up with clever methods to break the meta and really have people be creative with their characters.
That sounds really great. I when a few episodes ago when we were talking to Sandy Claus, we actually talked very specifically about the all-strength giant, and as a good starting point. And I was sitting there on the character creation screen this weekend looking at that. It's but I don't want to be a giant, I always tend toward, like elf characters and more wizard characters. And I couldn't do it. And so I ended up spreading my stats around a little bit and started out as a human instead. But yeah, that's really neat. I always like it when you have that increased customization that really makes your character distinct from even the other players who are playing your same race and class.
Sure. And like I said, with the way the system is now, it's very likely that somebody else that you will encounter in the world has the same stats as you.
Right. That's really neat. Okay, so all of that is kind of shifting around on June 1st.
Mm-hmm.
But even before then, on the legacy server, if you do pay for a Noble Citizen account, you can play already on the legacy server. Mistwalker server is up until June 1st. I think I remember reading from the facts though that your character from Mistwalkers is not going to transfer. Am I thinking right?
Yeah, you're correct, and there's a couple reasons for that. The database for the character data is quite different between what the legacy server is running on, which is the official code that is developed by Norseman, and then our database is there. It's quite different, so we would have to go through a pretty extensive effort to convert all that data over, and really the game's not exactly where we want it right now. So what we're deeming Mistwalkers as is our beta test bed. Oh, so now we're going to be actively making changes to that code base to test theories, and then as it works, we'll integrate those changes into the Norseman Games code that we have licensed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, and one of my questions was going to be, but you've been answering it all this whole conversation. One of my questions was going to be is that, the fear of a lot of people is like, okay, we're going to have this, this kind of this return, but everything's going to get neglected and we're just not going to have any updates along the way and it's going to fall to the side. But yeah, from everything you're telling me is y'all are already working really hard on this, and it doesn't sound like y'all have any intention of stopping anytime soon.
No, absolutely not. And I would say that, so like I said, we opened up player subscriptions April 1st for the legacy server. I would say that the subscriber base has been much, much higher than I ever could have wished for.
Oh, great.
I think this game is important to a lot of people. It's a piece of our childhood for a lot of us.
Yeah.
And I can speak on behalf of the Rat Labs team that, this game was important to all of us growing up. And, this is more of a passion project for us. This is not a financial motive. So, we're not going anywhere. We plan to develop this game. And we want, the end goal is to get it on mobile to, all operating systems. We want to go after iOS. We want to go after Android. We want to go after Mac OS. We want to get, Linux. And we're planning on using technologies or engines like Unity or maybe even Unreal Engine 4. We're actively looking at all of these solutions.
That's really great. And I've told you off air is that, I'm really excited about this. And I'm planning to spend quite a bit of time in it. And so, yeah, I was so happy when, I did those couple of episodes and, got an email, from Norseman Games soon thereafter, going, hey, it's not dead yet. Hold on.
Yeah, for so long. Yeah, for so long, we hadn't come to an agreement yet, so we couldn't just say, hey, we're talking, because we didn't know that if things were going to work out. But I do have to say here publicly that working with those over at Norseman Games has truly been a very easy process. They've been very open to our ideas, and it's just been a pleasure working with them.
That's great. Yeah. And, and I'll just say, it's like one of the things that I was talking to Santa Claus about is, one of the reasons I'm pretty almost exclusively a retro gamer is that these things don't change. And not in a ways like, they don't grow or something, but they don't just disappear. Mario Brothers is Mario Brothers, and it's always going to be there for me. And it was, the Realm has always been kind of this point of sad nostalgia for me, because it wasn't something that I could relive again. And getting back on there is like, yes, it's changed and grown, and that's wonderful. But it was coming back to a place I'd never thought that I'd be able to come back to. And so I thank you for your effort in this. I'm going to be a customer for a long time now. And so, I'm thrilled that, with what y'all are doing. So thank you.
Oh, thank you for that. We're just happy to have anybody and everybody that's, wanting to get on and play. We want to be very true to the loyal player base, but in turn, we also want to, get new people and some new blood into the game and get some new ideas going. That's the reason we chose to keep a legacy server, so that people that are very comfortable with that and that's what they want, they have that option. But
Right.
with the Finvarus Fortress server, we wanted to make sure that we were trying to move the title into today's time.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. Okay. So I have one more very, very, very important question that I have been wondering since 1996.
Okay.
Is it Leinster, Leinster, the city?
I think that depends on your geographic region you live in. I believe you and I are from the same state, so for me it is Leinster.
Oh, okay. Back in 96, I had always said it Leinster, and growing up, I was like, I think I was wrong in that, but I wasn't pronouncing it to anybody except my cat, so.
Yeah. It's Melee was Melee, and
Oh, yeah.
it's just a confusing world in the MMO world.
For sure. And, and that's true. It's like, I've always been a big JRPG fan. And now that we have Twitch and stuff and, playing Final Fantasy IV and hearing, people say, no, it's Cecil. No, it's Cecil. And it's like, we've all been pronouncing everything completely differently for the last 20 years.
You are correct.
Oh, so that's fantastic. I really do appreciate your time. So is there anything that the listeners need to know that I've just completely missed?
No, really what I want to do is just make sure that everybody knows the official website is realmserver.com. It's the same website it's always been. You can go there. You can create an account. You can become a noble citizen. You can get access to the legacy server. We have a very active Discord community. So if you need help, you can't get the game to run. It is an old client right now. So sometimes people run into hiccups. We have Discord. People are there willing to help. Jordan, who is one of our probably, I would say, our most senior developer, he's started a Twitch channel, so we have that linked on our realmserver.com. He's planning on live streaming some of his development as we get down that road, so people will be able to tune in and watch that. We have the Facebook page. It's at Realm Server is the Facebook page. So we have all the social media links. Be sure and go like and follow and do all those social media things that gets us attention.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll put links to all of that in our show notes. I actually just, a couple of days ago joined the Discord page, and it's very active. It's, really good stuff. And I'm sure I'm going to have tons of questions. What do I do with all of the stuff that these ratlings are dropping? And what am I doing with these abilities and stuff? But, I'm looking forward to figuring all this out. So we'll put links to all of that, as well. I actually downloaded both from realmservers.com. I also downloaded the Mistwalkers, version. Created an account on each one. I can tell you it's very easy to do, very straightforward. And so, y'all have made it as easy as humanly possible to actually start playing. And that's pretty great.
That's key, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yes. All right, Sam, thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Drum, is somebody calling?
Affirmative.
Okay. Hey, you're on the air. This is Kai. Who am I speaking with?
Hey, Kai, this is Steven, man.
You got your connection back.
Traffic's cleared up. I'm going 50 miles an hour. I'm almost there.
Sweet.
Do you have my seat ready? You got my seat warmed up?
Yeah. It's, it's kind of warm outside, so it's warm. Sure.
Okay. Well, dude, I'm ready to do the show. Let's get this show on the road.
Yeah, the show's kind of over. It's a live show, man.
I just picked you up in Icy.
Oh, well, I tell you what, we'll read the interviews again, and we'll broadcast it for ourselves, just you and me, just you and me, buddy.
I'm going to drink this Icy. I'm turning around right now.
Fine.
I'm doing a U-turn.
Fine.
I'm doing a U-turn.
Please don't do a
You missed your
U-turn.
icy.
I really wanted the icy.
It's delicious.
Oh. Was it a Coca-Cola icy?
With Coca-Cola mixed with white cherry.
Oh.
Yep.
It's not right. It's not right.
Anyways.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. Please do, head over to our show notes page, technofunkboy.com/31 for the episode 31. Watch out for our Twitch channel, twitch.tv/technofunkboy. We will be streaming The Realm for the foreseeable future, and so please do join me for that. That's going to be a lot of fun. And if you want to go ahead and get on the paid legacy server right now, you can at realmserver.com. Otherwise, on June 1st, there will be the free-to-play server that is up, and so please do jump on then and get a taste for yourself. I think you're going to really enjoy this game. I'm having an absolute blast in it again. It really is just like I remembered, and in a definitely good way. And so thank you so much for joining us. Please join us next week. We are going to be diving into a little bit of Dragon Warrior.
Sweet.
The Retro Zoo Super Show is brought to you by the Techno Funk Boy. Follow us on Twitter at Techno Funk Boy, on Facebook at the Techno Funk Boy, and sign up for our email list at technofunkboy.com. Also look for us on Spotify, iTunes, and Amazon for music. If you are so inclined, please leave us a 5-star rating and review on your favorite podcast catcher. If you are not so inclined, you are obviously some sort of villain trying to conquer the world. Unowned music and gameplay clips are used for educational and critical purposes. Thank you for listening. Keep gaming. And once you have responsibilities that need to be done over time, then you can game later.